Hi, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Almost 10 o'clock, and we are ready to roll. Hang with us. We've got the very latest info on this massive winter storm. Holy cow. I mean, it is really bad. But maybe things are looking up later in the week. We'll be right back. It's 10 o'clock, and this is Fox 10 Talks. You would not want to be on that highway before it got plowed, and you definitely wouldn't want to be on that highway as you're looking at the snow plows coming straight for you. Yeah, this is from our friends at the NYSDOT. That's the state of New York's Department of Transportation. And you know what was so interesting about this storm, which we're going to be talking about? We've got some great pictures to share with you as well. In fact, I'm going to roll some of those right now. Is it almost didn't matter where you looked. From Denver, did you see that Bronco game yesterday? I mean, the snow really started hammering them, to kids playing in the snow in the deep south. There in places like Arkansas and further south. And then you saw, just motorists stranded by the thousands. Roughly about 800,000 people woke up with no power this morning, and in city after city, they were telling people, just please stay home if at all possible. Of course, if you're stuck at home and it's freezing outside and you have no heat, that's a bad situation. That is for sure. So you have found, if this is the first time you're hanging out with us, the friendliest chat online. This is Fox 10 Talks. I'm Ron Hoon. Syleste is going to be joining us, as is Krystal Ortiz, all coming up in about a minute. Let me roll out our poll question for you this morning. The Attorney General, Chris May, she made some remarks about ICE and her worries that people might arm themselves in Arizona because of the Stand Your Ground law. Some people thought those were great comments. Other people thought they were out of line. Here's the poll question, QR code. We would love to know what you think. 34% are saying, yeah, they were fine. 66% saying, to me, they seem somewhat out of line. And you can join the conversation that way. All right, let's roll it here. I want you to look and listen to what it's been like to be on these snowplow crews the last 48 hours. Well, you know, in our business, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, but sometimes pictures with the sound are really worth that kind of money. That's for sure. Krystal is here this morning. Krystal, would you say that the system was worse than expected, not as bad as expected, or pretty much exactly what we thought we would get?
Yeah, I mean, I think as a whole, it was pretty on par with what we were expecting.
Yeah.
We knew it was going to be a lot of snow. We knew it was going to be a lot of ice. And we knew it was going to lead to power outages, flight cancellations. And as a whole, that is exactly what happened. Of course, there's probably some nuance to some towns. Maybe they were expecting ice, they got snow or something like that. But overall, I think this was a really good forecast from forecasters across the country and from the National Weather Service, of course, who have been working overtime times 20, probably.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, Dean Fazzini lining up yet another great live cam. This is what it's looking like right now. New England really got the brunt of it as it was starting to exit the U.S. This is Pittsfield, Massachusetts, out there in the beautiful Berkshire Mountains. That's a town we're checking out, but probably more like in the fall. Just when
That's
the
when I
leaves
went.
are turning.
The Berkshires are beautiful in the fall. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we went and hiked there. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. That's so great. All right. Well, anyway, Krystal does join us this morning, and I thought you could give us, it's funny because you and I were talking about it earlier this morning. Even though some of the snow has departed, these wind chill temperatures this morning are almost mind-boggling.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. So cold out there. And remember, the cold air started days before the storm set up. So the ground was primed, which is why it was so easy for there to be ice and snow. And then now we're left within the aftermath, which means it's hard to clean up. And everything has frozen solid, anything that fell over the weekend. So these are the current wind chills. It's at 14 below right now, the wind chill in Chicago, 19 below in Minneapolis, 20 in Denver sounds nice compared to the, 7 in Odessa, Texas, 3 below in Columbus, Ohio, 5 in Boston. I mean, it's amazing. All the way down to the Gulf. You see New Orleans is at 21 wind chill. Houston is at 18 wind chill. So everywhere except for Florida, who decided not to participate in the cold weather, is really feeling the chill. Even northern Arizona, we've been in the teens and 20s in spots this morning.
Yes.
So even we are feeling that outer edge of that just bubble of cold air that impacted us. But I thought we would walk through the loop of this because watching the radar loop of this storm system unfold is pretty incredible. So this is 48 hours ago. So this is Saturday morning that we're starting with at 10 a.m. And then there's the loop of the last 2 days worth of data. And everything in the purple and white is snow. The pink is sleet and freezing rain. Of course, the green is just plain old rain. But I mean, wow, that is a swath of snow from New Mexico to Maine.
Yeah. Well, some of the other, I just wanted to share, to me, look at this video right here. Look at brother push sister on the sled. And it goes all of 3 feet.
Yeah, woohoo.
I mean, hey, this is from Little Rock. Maybe you're not all that used to snow. But, it literally, when we were talking about 35 to 40 states were going to be impacted by this, that's exactly the way it worked out.
Yes, yeah. We expected 2/3 of the country to have some type of snow accumulation. If you want to pop my map back up, you can see the map of the current snow depth. Now, I'm not saying that everywhere's got 12 inches. That's not the case. That's just the purples you see. But look how much of the country has some snow on the ground right now.
Yeah.
That's wild. We don't too often see this, right?
Sure.
That far south. Look at Texas. Oklahoma, Arkansas. Just an incredible coverage when it comes to the snow amounts.
Well, let me ask. We all know global warming is going on. We see year to year the temps, just incrementally keep going up. Is this some kind of a weird anomaly, to see so much cold so deep into the country?
Well, I mean, so when we're talking climate change, there's a couple things at play. Climate and weather being two different things, right? So climate is analyzing decades worth of data and noticing trends.
Sure.
And then you have weather, the day-to-day changes that happen. Sure. This was a weather event. It was a storm that happened. They've happened before. They'll certainly happen again.
Right.
But when you look at trends, that kind of points to the potential for us to see more big events like this happen. Oh. Maybe not more frequently necessarily, but in terms of the intensity, because a lot of times when we look at climate change, one of the factors of it is that it sets what might be what we're used to in terms of global patterns awry. So one of the ways it's a good way to describe it, and you hear about the polar vortex all the time, is a spinning top, right? So cold air is always wobbling around the poles. But when you start to get too much warm air, you start to throw off the pattern, then maybe the top starts to wobble a little bit. And as the top wobbles, sometimes it can fling an area of cold air too far south. It can push it to the other side of the globe, and we get really hot in the middle of winter. Right. And then you get commentary about people saying, well, it's cold in winter, so big surprise, or it's hot in winter, or hot in summer, big surprise, things like that. But this is a case of A, this is a weather event, but B, yes, this is something we are seeing as a result of climate change, that you get these bigger, more impactful events from time to time.
Okay. And then you have the cooler temperatures, right, that hang out. I think we had Katie Byrne from Fox Talks live with us at 9 a.m. And she was saying how they don't expect warmer temperatures for a while.
Yeah.
So then it freezes, it gets hard, and it just makes it more difficult to clean up some of the cities, right? The storms hang out for a longer period of time.
Yes. Well, so what part of the concern is too is so this is the future cast for the rest of this week, and while that area of that cold mass that's in place right now may start to boot out, there's this ridge along the west coast which is going to keep us warm. But do you see how the cold air just does not budge from the northeast part of the country? And in fact, as we go along, another system drops down by this weekend. And I obviously have this centered up on this map for us, but if I drag it, let me see if I can play it all the way out so I can drag it over. This is next weekend. Another system dropping down the East Coast. So folks, as far as Georgia, will be dealing with another round of wintry weather, cold air come this coming weekend, it looks like. Yeah. So, they're not done with it over on the East Coast. There's a reason why we live over here. In terms of snow, guys, I did think that was pretty amazing. Some of the totals, not in the usual suspects. Of course, we saw the 1 to 2 feet of snow as expected, Pennsylvania and up through New England. But look at some of these numbers. Lubbock, Texas picked up 4 inches.
Oh, my
Tulsa picked up 4.5 inches.
Well, if it's 7 degrees right now in Lubbock, right, with the wind chill,
yes,
it's just barely above zero.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? And the thing there, I used to work in El Paso, Texas. That's where my husband's family is from, and they would get snowstorms. They're at the very tail end tip of the Rockies, right? And so they would get a snowstorm here or there, maybe every few years. But it's always amazing when they get it because they don't have treatment for the roads. They don't have plows, anything like that. Yeah. So you just kind of have to wait for it to melt when it happens in places like this.
By the way, a couple of comments here. Lisa says, "Krystal, your dress is beautiful. I'd love to know where you got it."
Where did I get this? If you've heard of Rent the Runway, I actually bought it through Rent the Runway. So, you can buy some of their dresses there, secondhand store, basically.
Yeah.
And then Darren Floyd is on this morning saying, "Good morning from beautiful Deltona, Florida." It's like a tale of two cities or a tale of two states in Florida, right? Almost 90 down in Miami, and yet still pretty chilly up in the Panhandle.
Yes, the far north edge of the Panhandle has seen, I think what was a week ago, they even saw some snow. Yeah. And then, they've been at 80, 90 degrees almost.
Celeste and I were worried about the iguanas falling out of the trees, weren't we, Celeste?
Always concerned for them.
We were like, uh-oh.
Kerplop.
I love that the National Weather Service does that. They give out the falling iguana alerts there.
Brandy the Bookworm says 23 watchers and only 11 hit those like and share buttons, everyone. So
Brandy.
thank you for liking.
We love Brandy, that's for sure. Well, we got about a minute left. How do you want to wrap up?
Well, I guess we can wrap it up by taking a look at our own forecast briefly, right? If I can scroll myself down there to our forecast, because we actually have a pretty good forecast moving forward. We did get a little bit of snow up in the high country ourselves, mostly in that 1 to 5 inch range. And you just saw that map I showed off that said that we've got high pressure building, so the temperature will be climbing. Today, our high at 69. Yesterday was 66, so this is actually right around average for this time of year. But in Flag, it'll be 40 today and 41 in Show Low. And then tonight, we are still getting quite cold up in the high country. So single digits possible for Window Rock, 13 for Flag, 19 for Show Low, and about 43 in Phoenix. And then there's your 10-day. The temperature actually just keeps on warming up these next few days. I personally think middle 70s with sunshine is basically the perfect forecast. And we have that both Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah, what's your perfect number, Celeste?
I'm going to go with a 76.
Okay. I'm going to go a 70. I'm going to go about 72.
Yeah.
Oh, so today, tomorrow, your days.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the weekend's not bad either. Almost 80 though, so it'll be a little warm by the weekend.
Oh, that's
so great.
Yeah.
Krystal,
right,
thank
Krystal.
you.
Of course, always love joining you guys, chatting about the weather.
So great to have you. We appreciate it, and we appreciate all of you sharing your thoughts in the chat. Let us know what you're thinking when it comes to the mystery camera this morning. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Oh, look at that.
Welcome back, everyone. Good to see all of you here, and lots of great comments in terms of where you believe this could be with our mystery camera. And of course, this morning, let's see, we've got a snowy scene, Ron, next to a river and a bridge. And
I feel
it looks like maybe some city buildings.
Yeah, a couple of people are braving the roads. The snowplows have been, at least the snowplows have been out on Main Street.
Yes.
Not some of those side streets.
No, you got to be careful on those.
Yeah, you do.
Okay, so we have some good guesses out there.
All right.
Louis Gonzalez says Kentucky.
Okay.
We've got a Minnesota from Burger Boys, 25. Halakita says Kentucky as well. B. Miguel says Arkansas. It's crazy that we're saying this is Kentucky or Arkansas.
I know, and I like Brandon thinking Arkansas because we did just show those kids playing in the snow in Arkansas about 10 minutes ago. So, Jared, how about Jared of Sonora? He's thinking this one through. I think I've crossed that bridge. Might be between Ohio and West Virginia.
Okay.
Ooh, I like the thinking there.
I'm going to go Ohio.
All right, then I'm going to go West Virginia.
All right, let's
How about that, Jared? Here we go. Celeste is on.
And here is your mystery camera, and the answer is Ashland, Kentucky.
Oh.
So let's see who. I'm going to go through. Okay, Louis Gonzalez. He guessed Kentucky.
Yes, way to go, Louis.
Halakita says Kentucky. I actually love that Bobby Q Cat said Marquette, Michigan. Very, very specific.
Well, that's way up there in the UP, I believe. And yeah, that is one cold place. You want to go someplace where you know you're going to get a snowy Christmas and everything else, go to the UP or up to Buffalo, New York.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, welcome back. We have several stories that people are talking about this morning. And of course, the big national story besides the weather is yet another shooting in Minneapolis. And so you no doubt have heard the story by now. 37-year-old ICU nurse Alex Preddy shot and killed. I was listening to a podcast this morning, and there's the scene where it all unfolded. And they said from the time that he was kind of pushed to the ground and then pepper sprayed to the time the final of the 10 shots rang out was less than 1 minute. The whole thing unfolded in 40 seconds. And of course, there were so many people out there with video cameras. And we have been seeing protests there as well as in other parts of the country. And some of the protests actually have been both local and in Minnesota. Check this out.
Sad is the best way I could describe it. This, like, what's going on is sick.
Just one comment of many others as people gathered. There has been kind of a vigil that's been going on for Alex Preddy ever since it happened. And, this is what is unfolding in Minneapolis. But take a listen and a look to this. It actually spawned some protests right here in the Valley as well.
So I think it's really important to just represent like strength and community and togetherness and to exercise the First Amendment right to use my voice.
And there were some religious leaders that gathered as well. This is the second time that it has happened, and there have been some new developments where President Trump did say, he announced just a couple of hours ago he was going to send Tom Homan into the Twin Cities. He's the border czar. And there have been a lot of reports regarding the kind of almost instant analysis that came out from the Department of Homeland Security and Kristi Noem in terms of what she said, and then how the video played out as well. And so we've been seeing over the course of the last 48 hours a lot of protests, Celeste, around the country.
I think what you want to see, we had both commentary from a lot of different leaders here in the Valley. I think what you want to see are peaceful protests. That is our constitutional right to protest and demonstrate. And so I think we want to see peaceful protests. And I think a deeper investigation into both sides probably will, hopefully come up with some facts, I think, that will satisfy some of the sides and the people that are very concerned about this. It's unfortunate that the people in Minnesota, if you recall, after George Floyd was killed, that was a city that largely had a lot of demonstrations that were very physical and shootings and killings, and you had a lot of people just in the streets and very violent protests during that time. And again, unfortunately, we're seeing it again in that very city.
Right.
It's very unfortunate.
Yeah, and we know there are ICE operations that are happening in other parts of the country that are underway on an everyday basis, and they aren't seeing this level of protest. But then the level of violence has been so strong,
unfortunate,
that's what's going on there.
Yes.
So it does lead us, there's a kind of an interesting angle to it all now. We always say there's a local angle, and it was some of the remarks that Chris Mays, the Attorney General, made. And this is all from our friends over at KTAR Radio 92.3, where after she made her remark saying that she was worried about the stand your ground laws here in Arizona, that it was kind of almost like a warning to ICE, be careful, because you're coming to a state where we do have the stand your ground law. Well, then KTAR interviewed the executive director of the Arizona Police Association, Joe Kluwer, who responded by saying that her comments were reckless and dangerous. And he said, this is a quote now, he said he was in shock when he heard, quote, the highest law enforcement official in the state of Arizona essentially giving a tutorial on how to shoot a police officer, specifically ICE agents, and get away with it. And so it really has now, here's the Chris Mays remarks when she gave her interview. And she said, if you are really sure that they are ICE and they present a badge or they present identification, then I would not recommend using lethal force against them. But one of the worries that I have is, and then later on in the quote, she said that we have a stand your ground law in Arizona. So, yeah, it's, their remarks that definitely have people, Celeste, I think, with probably some pretty strong opinions. Shall we go to the poll question?
Let's go to it, yeah.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so her remarks about ICE and armed Arizonans, was it fine or out of line? 31% saying they were fine. 69% are saying that they were out of line. Now, I'm going to be curious. We posted this about not quite an hour or so ago. How's it looking on YouTube? Frequently, those numbers are different.
Yeah, they are.
Hold on. Big D, where do we want to go for our YouTube? Okay, let me punch it up there.
Oh, yeah, let's go just to Big D's
you know
face.
What? Last week we discovered that it was on a different source, like remote. It was on one of our ENGs.
Remote 6.
Okay, we'll pull it up here in a second.
Okay.
Okay, here comes.
Everybody's asking for Big D, Ron. Let's just go right to Dave.
Let's just do it. Hang on, though. Look at this. We've got it now.
We go.
Okay. Hundreds of votes already. What do you see in Celeste? Yeah.
We have almost 400 votes on this one, but it was just posted about 40 minutes ago. Were AG Chris Mays' remarks about ICE and armed Arizonans fine or out of line? Right now, your two options are they were fine, out of line, and 36% of you say they were fine. 64% of you say out of line.
Now, that's interesting because this is one of the very rare times that they're kind of in alignment. Go back to the poll queue, the QR code. So that's a 30-70 split right now. And YouTube, we'll get that figured out here in the next few days.
I feel like we're living in interesting times.
Yeah.
Where you have leaders who are suggesting that you arm yourself against federal authorities, or if you're asked to do something that you don't agree with, it's okay. In their opinion. You had Mark Kelly, right? and and what he shared, and now you have Attorney General Chris Mays. I'm trying to remember, Ron, and you're great with history. What
are you about to call me a historian, Celeste? I might be qualified for like a 6th grade history class, but go ahead with your point, Celeste.
I mean, you know history very well.
Yes.
I can't remember a time, at least in my lifetime, where you had leaders, and I'm not defending either side at this point.
The country's just so divided
it's
on
just
this.
very,
yes,
it gets,
on many things.
And violent.
Yeah.
At that.
I know. That's one of the concerns.
Yes.
Is, will more people arm themselves in their interactions? So let's go to Dave on the poll question. There he is after a rather lengthy introduction. All right, what are you seeing, buddy?
Ryan W. 1019 says, if non-citizens don't have rights, then all the government has to do is say they think you might be a non-citizen for you to have no rights either. Good luck exercising your right to a fair trial when they've shipped you off to a prison in El Salvador. Christina Iffy says Mays is right. Not only is it a constitutional violation, but ICE's behavior combined with Arizona's stand your ground laws is a recipe for avoidable deaths. And finally, past the point of no return says AG Mays' comments made regarding the Second Amendment and ICE operations seemed clearly indicative of her expressing her desire for citizens and non-citizens to take up arms against federal ICE officers over her personal disdain for the Trump administration. Really well thought out comments.
Yeah.
We love hearing from you guys. Please keep them coming.
And I like how we have thoughts on both sides of the issue. I think is really important to share. Dave, what was the name of the handle, the last one you read again?
Past the point of no return.
I think we're there.
Yikes. I will say there's some great names on YouTube, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. And very smart people as well.
By the way, we're going up to another break. We've got some interesting guests coming up in the next half hour, but I did just want to make the following announcement, Celeste. Mm-hmm. For you people who are already so organized, you're ready to file your taxes. Today is opening day of the 2026 tax season.
The faster you get it done, Ron, the faster you get the return.
These are the same people that had their homework turned in by the end of class instead of waiting to turn it in the following day. This is amazing. Yeah. Okay, so starting today, you can file if you got your W-2 and you got so many people use the standard deduction. That's the thing. If you got your W-2 and you got the standard deduction, go for it, I guess.
No kidding.
But they have changed a lot of stuff, from no tax on tips and overtime pay, car loan interest. There are just a lot of changes. So be
Ron,
ready.
Our tips, we're not going to have to pay taxes on our tips here.
When are we going to get that tip jar, Celeste? Right here. Either right here or right in front of Big D, who just fled the scene. We'll be right back, everybody. Oh, once again, I made that mistake. I should have learned from my radio days. You got to open the mic at the same time. It's Ron and Celeste. There's Celeste.
Hello.
So, overall thoughts, Celeste, about the football games from the weekend.
We're ecstatic.
In your house, you are. You're a bunch of Seahawk fans.
Well, I'm a Cardinals fan, but if the hubby is a Seahawks fan and they win, and all of our kids are Seahawks fans because my husband's from Seattle, from Edmonds, happy husband is a happy wife. Doesn't have the same ring to it as the other way around.
Right.
But
so what happened in your house when the Seahawks won the game in that last, 30 seconds?
Our teenage son tackled my husband. He was like, oh, we won.
He goes right for Dad, throws him the shoulder, and brings him down.
And hugs him.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
I think there's a lot of it. I was kind of, I'm not going to lie, TBH, as the kids say it. I was rooting for the Broncos. I kind of was rooting for Stidham, to be honest. I guess Stidham, Tom Brady, when Stidham was with the New England Patriots, Tom Brady gave him that nickname, Stiddy. And all the commentators are calling him that. And he seemed very cool, calm, and collected. And I was kind of rooting for him because, and he kind of was ushered into this role, and you want to see him succeed.
He did just fine, being thrown into.
Yeah.
I heard a stat somewhere that was the first game of the entire season that he started, and it was a conference championship.
Yeah.
And that has not happened to anybody.
Yeah.
Since 1972.
Oh, wow. Long
when
time.
The Dallas Cowboys had a young quarterback, and they're like, oh, our other guy got injured. We need you to jump in in a conference championship game.
Yeah.
That was Roger Staubach.
Wow.
Well, things worked out fine for him, so they're probably going to work out fine for Stidham.
I just thought it was really cool. Kudos to him for stepping in, and it was just fun to watch. And unfortunately, I think if the weather had cooperated, I think they may have won.
Yeah.
Because
it's quite possible,
and even
home
for
crowd was going nuts.
Oh my gosh. Even for Mays, the quarterback for New England, you saw there was slipping. The running back in one play came up and he slipped and he fell. And it was so snowy.
Yeah.
It was so crazy how that storm came in, and then the wind is blowing sideways.
Oh, it was amazing. And the two sideline reporters, there's Tracy on the one side and then the other guy. They turned into weather reporters. They were just going back to him every 2 minutes, what's the weather like down there now?
Well, yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen a snowblower on an NFL in the middle of the game. But this guy's walking there with the snowblower, on the field.
They were so cattywampus. Did you notice later on when they finally got out there? I mean, it wasn't even a straight line. They're like, okay, we're on the 30. We're on the 31. Oop, now we're on the 29. I'm like, I don't think you guys are even helping.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's this misnomer that maybe ladies don't like, females don't like football as much as men. But I was telling Ron, I went to the nail salon yesterday, and it was halftime of the Broncos and the Patriots, and the nail tech's has this little stand, and I put my phone up there, but the woman to my right, she's like, oh, is that the game? She's like, I'm from Tempe, and my dad and I used to watch football growing up, and so she's watching, and then the lady to my left, she's like, is that the game? What's the score of the game? It is when it was 7-7. Right. But it was I think everybody was just. It was a game everybody watched.
The previous weekend, and I'm not sure which one it was, but one of the games last weekend was the highest rated game outside of a Super Bowl in ESPN's history.
Wow.
That's how much people love their football. I think it's never been more popular.
I totally agree. Yeah. And I think you have these young names and guys that are kind of coming up, and people wanted to see what Stiddy was going to do.
Stiddy.
And the guy Mays, the woman to my right at the nail salon, she said that May's wife is actually a TikTok star. And she's very cute and wholesome. I was watching. She bakes.
She's wholesome?
Yeah, wholesome and fun. Well, Ron, I mean, because there's a lot of unwholesomeness happening on social media. I don't know if you've noticed lately.
Really? Do you want to give me a couple of names to go?
Who are you following these days, Ron Hoon? But so she's very she just cooking in her kitchen.
Okay.
And I don't know. She was really fun to watch.
Sure.
I have to look up her name again, but yeah, May's wife. She's on TikTok. Anyways, check her out. She's
nice.
Fun.
Good. Hey, by the way, so if you're wondering, well, how's it going to?
Oh, Ann Michael May. Thank you, Big D. That's her name, Ann Michael May.
Okay, here's the other thing. So if you're wondering who's going to win the Super Bowl, we have, first of all, we can tell you this. It's going to be at Levi Stadium. So who knows what the weather could, it could be very beautiful in the Bay Area there in February, or it could be bad weather. I mean, we'll find out. I doubt it's going to be as bad as Denver was, but Vegas is already out this morning with the odds. They like the Seahawks to win by about 3.5 points. And don't forget, these two teams played in the Super Bowl 11 years ago in Glendale. And that's the one where for years Seahawk fans were questioning, why did they try to throw it right down there on the goal line when they could have run it in? Instead, they lose to the Patriots.
Was that to Marshawn Lynch? I'm trying
28-24, I believe so.
Yeah.
By the way, if you're a football fan and you've never seen what they call the beast mode earthquake, go look that up sometime on YouTube. That is maybe the greatest play in the history of pro football. Oh, so Marshawn
awesome.
Lynch.
Well, you know what kind of floored me about that, too, is Sam Darnoldson, right? That's his name.
Darnold.
Darnold. Well,
although from the old country, maybe great-grandpa from the old country was a Darnold son. But anyway, now he's just Darnold.
Yeah. Well, his son is actually Darnold's son. But anyways, I had no idea that he was at the Vikings last year and had a 14-0 season, and they cut him.
I know.
Or traded him.
I know. And he wins 14 games here. We'll see what happens if they lose the Super Bowl.
Kind of rooting for him.
Okay. Hey, we're really looking forward to an interview. We have, over the course of the last, probably 4 weeks, would you say?
I would say.
We've been focusing on
6
CD1.
to 4 weeks.
Yeah. And so we have Andreas Barraza, who's going to be joining us here, who's another candidate. Welcome to the big microphone.
Welcome, Andres.
Good morning.
To see you.
Yeah, it's definitely a crowded field. It's a pleasure to be here with you both. It's very exciting.
Good. All right. So why'd you decide you wanted to run?
There's a lot of ways to explain that, but I think it encompasses ultimately growing up here in Arizona. For me, the biggest thing was it was a great place to be. I graduated from Marcos Tenisa High School.
You did?
And, I fought wildfires here actually in CD1 in the Cave Creek area.
Oh, wow.
Tell us a little more about your career path then.
Okay, so, wildland firefighting has actually... limited time. I mean, where do I start in that? But, public service has always been important to me. Yeah. I always wanted to be a Marine. I can't hear my right ear, so I never had the privilege to be able to serve. And that had a detrimental effect on my life. But I found wildland firefighting, and I found the same service that, I definitely, encompassed that I would have in the military. Yeah. And so that's really been a big branching point. So for a while, I was a teen parent, so I fought wildfires in the summer, and I went to ASU and raised my son, my teenager son at that time, in the fall and the spring. Good
for you.
And so...
and then you got sort of into education.
Yes, public education. I'm on the school board at Tempe Union. I'm finishing up my second term, and it's been an incredible privilege. A big part of what I'd like to do as a school board member was not only look at the school-to-prison pipeline in terms of the disciplinary stuff and, looking at disciplinary and fighting, for example, no tolerance. We're changing that. We have multi-tiered system of support, so now students get counselors, and we find out why. But on top of that, the bond projects. We've been renovating our campuses across. All our campuses have new science labs that are set up to the National Science Foundation standards. We're rebuilding the auditoriums. We're renovating everything from infrastructure, water systems to our football fields, which I always talk to people and tell them that the water, when it rains, runs off the field into these gutters underground, and it goes into the rainwater system. So we're able to capture that for the city. So all 6 of our football fields have that ability now.
That's amazing.
So not only are they turf, but they're serving a purpose.
You mentioned real quick just kind of the program with bringing more counselors in. And as a mother of teenagers, I have to say, I think that is one of the that's one of the holes in the system, right? I think our teens need more. And I think we started to see it during COVID is the mental health aspect.
Absolutely.
And sometimes they just need somebody who's not mom and dad to share whatever they're going through so they get it off their chest. By the way, I'm a Padres grad as well. Bring it on in, brother.
Go Padres.
We both went to Mark Marcos Deniza in Tempe, Arizona. But, can you talk a little bit more about that? You briefly mentioned it and why that was so important for you as a part of your mission.
So counseling, absolutely, you're spot on. Education for students, the school environment is way different than when we went to school. We didn't have social media. So when I had problems on campus, I fought a lot. I didn't like bullies, and that was part of my experience. I was always in the disciplinary process, but I can go home and be with my friends and family. I could shut down that environment off. These kids are taking it home through social media. If you screw up socially, everyone in the school knows about it. It's a very tense environment for these students that we really need to cultivate. And so the counselors are the first step. But again, it's a multi-tiered system of support. So we're talking about students finding them clubs, finding them purpose, looking at next steps after high school and career and technical education. So we're trying to start at the freshman year and get students to look at that high school experience very differently and look at it as a long-term impact on,
what a great program.
So we call it college ready. So that's what we're doing. Build up skills, but we're college ready. So whatever you want to do in life.
I understand that you say you really want to get to Washington so you can fight for the middle class. What do you hope to accomplish there?
So there are a lot of aspects to, the tax codes, and we could get into all of that particularly. But what I've noticed was the big impact, the big picture that we all need to be talking about as opposed to nuances is that the middle class was this big on a chart when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s. And over time, the middle class has been shrinking, and the wealthy have been wealthier and the poor have been poorer. So the middle class is what was the bread and butter for, growing up. It's where families were able to plan holiday trips, family reunions. We're able to save for colleges. It was a time when we had bikes in the front yards because kids were playing and people were doing backyard barbecues together with their neighbors. People had money in their pockets. They had the ability to anticipate the future. As it's been shrinking over the years, we've been having to cut back, say, that family trip, we can't do it this year. We can't do this, or I got to think about my health care, my medication now. So we're going to keep cutting back. We've been cutting back and not realizing it. And an impact that it's been having is now we have a generation that should be retiring and should be enjoying their life right now, but they're working a job. I have friends that are plumbers and they're in their late 60s. And why should that be the situation? They can't afford the cost of living. And that middle class, they had that, but they've been seeing it depleted over time. And so that's the discussion. More than the nuances of what tax code, I think we all need to be in a room and talk about how do we rebuild that middle class.
I know there's one other topic you want to discuss, which is health care. Can you hang with us for a couple more minutes
Absolutely.
Out of the break? Okay. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
We hope you'll stick with us. Well, we are just continuing our tour of snowy North America. Everywhere we look, so many of these cameras are filled with snow. Let's continue and kind of wrap up our conversation with Andres Barraza. Celeste.
Yes, Andres. You were saying healthcare. We were just chatting about education as well, but healthcare is another, big topic that you want to tackle if you were elected to represent CD1. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. What I've been seeing just from my parents' experience and a lot of people around is, you're one payment away from financially destroying you so you're always walking a fine line in terms of your health care. Mm-hmm. And even if when you're doing the best you can, your prices are rising. My father's his diabetic medication has increased. His heart medication has increased. He's now doing side jobs to pay for that. I, for example, I got my health care for the first time. I work for myself, so that's a little tough, but I finally got health care and I started using it. And being a former wildland firefighter, I'm worried about colon cancer. I'm worried about cancer. So I started using it. And so it's really important to me that people have access to it.
So what is the answer, do you think? Is it ASA or ACA? What do you think is the answer?
I think we got to start by looking at ACA, but ultimately, I think we got to fund Medicare program, expand it for populations that don't have access. That reduces the cost overall. We've seen that, and, the math is there to say that when people have a plan, it's cheaper than them going to an emergency room. So, yes, expand, but also look at funding other aspects of medications.
Excellent. We really have appreciated our time with you today, and best of luck.
Thank you. It's been a wonderful pleasure and an incredible honor, and thank you for this platform. I appreciate it.
I say that to Celeste every day when I sit down next to her. Such an honor. Anyway.
I thought you were going to shake my hand, Ron.
I was.
You guys will have to come down and talk to the students at Tempe Union.
Yeah, we need to come talk to the students.
I will reach out to you.
And I suppose I should represent Marcos in some way, because you guys both graduated from there.
I've seen you at a lot of the pep rallies around Tempe Union.
Oh, yeah.
The students love you.
And I bet you I have read to... I don't know, over 5,000 students. I love going to schools and reading.
So you're like Uncle Ron.
There's a program, the Aztecs at Corona High School, and it's a part of the preschool program.
Yeah.
They love when visitors come to read to the kids.
I love it.
Nice to see you, my friend.
Hey, we have another great guest coming up here in about 30 seconds, but there's a quick story, Celeste, that I think we should all talk about. The experts are now recommending don't go to the gym and do the same 6 exercises you always do, which this is me to a T.
Oh.
I go there, I ride the bike for probably 45 minutes.
Okay.
And then I do like 3 workout sets with the machines, and then I go get in my car and drive home every day. And they're saying that's not the way to go. Researchers at Harvard said if you switch it up, you're going to have a lot more benefits.
Yeah.
They even said that if you do, what you're using new muscles, you're breaking out of your routine, and it can lower your risk of death by 19%. And who is not in favor of that?
I think you're going to change things up. Have you ever tried the sled?
No.
Okay,
I see those guys doing that. Have you ever done the sled?
I do it all the time.
Do you really?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Liz, have you ever tried the sled?
No, I have
not. Welcome, by the way.
Thank you.
The organization, I'm going to put this a little bit closer. We're talking about School Choice Week here in National School Choice Week. Give us your name and your full title, if you don't mind.
Sure. I'm Liz Dreckman with Choose a School. I'm the president there and the founder. This is National School Choice Week. So for 16 years, we've celebrated it across the country. And Arizona is really the example in the country of all the different options.
I've heard from parents who say they really love the program. They love having the school choice. And so what would you say are the kind of the primary benefits in a time where despite everything that you've accomplished so far, it sounds like some people want to dial back some of those benefits?
So in Arizona, we actually have...
Let me have you come right up to that microphone.
All kinds,
it's like a radio show.
Sure.
Go
all
for
kinds of school choice. Public school choice, where you can pick your district school. We have private school choice, homeschooling, micro schools. And it's really the private school choice options that folks want to dial back. However, if you live in a great school district, as you know, and, I went to public school, you have great options. But if you don't live in a great school district, or maybe your child has learning needs. And I've gone through this as a parent. One of my main jobs is helping parents navigate that process of getting services for their children with special needs. Sometimes your child just needs a different environment than the one at the school you're assigned to. So that's really what we are excited about and focus on, is helping families access that.
You guys had an event this past Saturday.
Yes.
You'll have another one this coming Saturday. Where is that event? Do you recall?
The one this Saturday, I'm not sure. There was one in Tucson. There were two school fairs.
Okay.
And then there's actually a few dozen events in Arizona at different schools. There's school fairs. There's information sessions at different schools on the schoolchoiceweek.com site. So I was looking this morning trying to add them up, and there's like 6 pages of them.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I just think there are so many different, as you mentioned, Arizona is kind of leader in school choice.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that you're going to a charter or a private school. It could mean that you're going to a traditional school within your district or something like that.
Correct. And I think that's one of the reasons I moved to Arizona, besides the sun. But was just that Arizona was really one of the first states to have charter schools, one of the first states to have a tax credit program to allow low-income students to go to a different school. And I just knew that we were also the first state to have an ESA. I actually have a child that used the ESA, and you can use it not just for school, but for services and therapies that the child needs.
So what is I guess if it wasn't working, you wouldn't have 100,000 parents who are taking part in it. I mean, that's, I guess, is the real feather in your cap. But what's your pushback to people who say is hurting public education?
Well, all of the students that are using ESA are actually getting 90% of what they would have gotten in the public schools. And I think what's really important to point out is that almost all of the ESA students are having success where they're at. There's no way we could have all of those students go back into district schools and take on that expense, but also it wasn't working for many or most of them. And so for those kids that need therapies, that need kind of one-on-one assistance, or they need a different environment, when my son moved schools, he went from a public charter to a private school, and in 6 months, he gained 2 years in math and reading.
Wow.
And it was just a different environment for him. He could move around. They had a lot of, sensory things, and just really great hands-on robotics programs. I actually found his school at my school fair.
Oh, wow.
3 years ago. I was walking up the stairs. Someone was talking about drones and 3D printers and robotics club. And I'm like, is this a club, a school?
Yeah.
What is it? And we enrolled 2 weeks later.
I think education is interesting in that it evolves over time. I think back to like our days of COVID and how that changed how a lot of companies do business, right? Some companies have hybrid now where maybe somebody comes into the office 2 days a week and then you're at home 3 days. It changed the way we look at education. I think a lot of us saw what our child was learning at school, what they weren't learning at school.
For sure.
And a lot of this, I think, in the direction with education, this is kind of how education is going. Like we're finding new ways to teach our children successfully, and not everybody learns the same, just like not everybody works the same.
Right. I always say, for some kids, a really traditional environment works great. They can sit 8 hours a day. They learn from hearing or verbal instruction. But I know there are lots of adults who couldn't sit 8 hours a day and need that hands-on, or the, being able to write or do the technology, things like that, for whatever the content is to stick. So.
Well, I know that you are the executive director of the Arizona School Choice Trust.
Yes.
What's the best way for people to learn more about you and your organization?
So our Choose a School project has a Facebook page. It's just Choose a School AZ. Okay. And so all of our events, we post there, information for parents on how to get access to, if they want to tour schools, we'll send them a list in their area. If they want help navigating, how to get services for their special needs student, we can help them with that. They can contact us there.
What a great resource. Liz, it's good
Thank
to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming in.
I appreciate it.
Pretty cool scarf you got
thank
going
you.
there, too, huh? What does that say on it?
National School Choice Week, they give out scarves because everywhere else is snowing, but here we're like so hot.
You're like, couldn't we get some Bermuda shorts or something? What do you got there? What's that?
Well, this is the first year, and I'm really excited. Governor Katie Hobbs did a commendation for National School Choice Week and recognized it this year. So
wonderful.
Hold that up here
Yeah,
as we say.
so-
That gold seal
Yes,
goes
we
with your
appreciate
gold
that.
scarf.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks again, Liz.
Thank you.
For being with us today. All right, so Celeste, a couple other stories we really need to talk about today. And it is the new list of America's best airlines is out. And what a turnaround for Southwest Airlines. Remember they had that meltdown in December, I think it was December of 2022, or it might have been in 23. Anyway, I mean, it was so bad for them, and they have really kind of relaunched themselves.
Yes.
This is the very week that they're going, I believe, with reserve seating now, so it'll be a little more organized when you get on board the plane.
That's right.
They're now number one in America.
I think it's pretty cool. I mean, it's one of the only airlines where you can switch the flight with no cost.
That's a big thing.
Depending on, and cancel the flight and just, you don't have those extra fees.
Yeah.
Allegiant is coming in second. That's out in the East Valley at Gateway. That is, this list actually is quite surprising because Southwest and Allegiant are known, I think, as more of like a budget airlines.
Right.
Along with Spirit, that's at number 5.
Yeah, and Delta, I mean, they're still doing well, but hey, you got to keep up with the competition.
Yeah, you do.
Number 3, I like to fly Delta a lot. All I ask of my airline is don't make me sit on the tarmac for an hour.
Yeah.
Let's leave when we're supposed to leave. Let's land when we're supposed to land. I feel like they do a really good job of that.
I think they do too. Alaska number 4 has great customer service. I've heard from so many different people.
Yeah.
They're in at number 4. Delta actually dropped. They're usually on top of these types of lists.
Yeah. Well, so there you go. And it's just so interesting to me. The other day I was on a Delta flight, Celeste, and I heard something I had never heard before. The flight attendant said, this is your Phoenix-based flight crew.
Wow.
And, I really feel like there's a big niche where they could do more hub operations, Delta, if you're listening, and get us a lot more flights out of Phoenix, either internationally or other cities around the country.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens there. But, of course, American is trying harder, and I bet you they're going to get back on that list at some point.
We got about 10 seconds left. We just want to give a few of you a shout out. Darlin Nickel, Burger Boy 25, Darren Lloyd, Emperor Ivan. Thank you for watching on this Monday. We hope you guys had a great weekend. We're so glad you're here. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.
Hi, everyone. I almost said Tuesday. I know. I wish it was Tuesday.
Monday.
It's only Monday. Don't remind me.
Really jumping ahead.
Hope you're all having a good Monday. The big talk, well, there's a lot of stuff going on nationally, but weather being one of them. So we are going to head out to one of our really excellent reporters talking about the winter storm that's causing all the travel chaos across the country, tens of thousands of cancellations and delays. My dad flew out Saturday and was able to make it out.
Did he make it home on time?
He made it out.
Oh, good.
He made it out. There
So
were
things
other
weren't too bad
delays
in Chicago then.
No, but I think that they just started having issues like after he landed. So
perfect timing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Olivanna is joining us. I believe there she is. Hi there. How are you? Oh, you're inside. Look at you.
Smart.
Yeah.
That's not easy, buddy.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I've got you guys. I'm glad to be inside for sure. And I also made it on a very early Saturday flight to come here, which is great. But for a lot of travelers, that has not been the case. I've talked to some people who have been stranded. Other people say they don't know where their bags are or if they'll ever get them back. And some people are deciding to group up with some people from their flight that was canceled and drive instead. We know that we're seeing a lot of disruptions today, over 4,000 cancellations. But yesterday was the really big day for travel disruptions. We saw a record number of cancellations, 11,000, and those were canceled and over 6,000 flights delayed. According to Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, that's the most in a single day since the pandemic. And today, he's saying there's still a lot of work to be done to get everyone up to speed.
We're digging out, right? So we have our workforce trying to get back to the airport. Just as you try to go to the office, you and Dana made it today. Nice job. But as people try to get to their workstations in the airport or in the towers, is creating some disruption for us. And again, we're clearing airports, runways, making sure we have staff in place and equipment in place to make sure planes fly safely.
And those boards here are showing tons of canceled flights as well. This area just doesn't normally get this kind of ice and sleet, freezing rain. Some people telling me they've been here overnight. A couple tells me that they were just supposed to have a direct flight from their trip to Miami back home to Memphis. This layover to Charlotte got added on because of the weather.
Still can't get my bags, and now they rescheduled us for this evening. So we've been stuck here buying food, drinks, and everything from out of here. They shipped us here for a connecting flight, and it's never been connected. We've been here over 24 hours.
Guys, it is awful. That's really what people have told me. He told me that trip, he calls it a vacation from hell, and he, kind of regrets going on that, knowing that he'd be kind of stranded here today. Thankfully, Duffy does say that we could see a lot of this clear up by midweek Wednesday, so hopefully that gets cleared up for everyone to get back home safely. Guys.
Okay, so I think I heard something, someone was reported, they said for every 24 hours that there are delays, it takes at least 72 hours to get back to where we need to be. How are things looking right now then? I mean, it's pretty chaotic behind you.
Yeah, it is. This is just a line to check in the bags for, I think this is American right behind me here, Southwest behind there. But really, there's that backlog of so many people that had their flights canceled. Maybe they stayed the night in a hotel. You're going to be looking at fuller flights for the next couple of days. So if you are traveling, I may be traveling, so I'm going to be checking a lot on the capacity, getting there really early to make sure that you've got time to go through here and check a bag if you do, and really track that bag too in case there's any problems.
Yeah, and another big talker as it relates to this storm that so much of the country is seeing is the issue with ice too. And given that you're in North Carolina, they are not necessarily equipped to handle a ton of snow de-icing the plane. So when you look out and you see the activity at the airport, are you seeing a lot of planes having to go through that de-icing process?
Yeah, well, since we've been dealing with the ice here, they have not, it's not something they deal with a whole lot, this freezing rain and this a bit of ice. That's really a layer over a lot. Today, it's a little bit warmer out, so there's that on our side here, but, you got to take precautions like de-icing, all of that. They knew this was coming, thankfully, and they had a little bit of time to prepare.
I know this is a silly question, but when they send us out to the local angle, we used to see people sleeping in the airport.
Yeah.
But now, we had warnings ahead of time, Olivanna. You get those text messages, you get the emails from your airline. Are you seeing any of that? Because people are just stranded. They have nowhere to go.
Yeah, I mean, like that couple that I showed you guys, they've been here overnight. I saw another person just this morning kind of find a little corner off to the side and pull up their jacket over them. I felt so bad for them because they're probably either delayed or they've been here, overnight, something like that too. So I still think there's people out here needing to take a nap or even stay overnight waiting for all of this. Because really the hotels are expensive, and if they don't give you a voucher, which has been the case with people I've spoken to today, it's a tough situation.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're inside and not reporting outside.
Yes, thank you.
Me too. Okay. Thank you.
I appreciate you, Olivanna.
Okay, so the other big story that we are following, politics is always in the center of everything. And so we have a Zoom interview with Ruth from the New York Times. We're going to bring Ruth in. Good morning. Can you hear us, Ruth?
Good morning. Yes.
Click
Can you hear
Zoom.
me?
Sorry. There we go. I was trying to do a 2-box for the Zoom. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Okay,
Thanks for having me.
Interesting study. Tell us a little bit about what this study is.
Yeah, so we conducted a national poll, which we do from time to time at the New York Times. And we found that a majority of Americans think that Trump is focusing on the wrong issues. They feel like the country, few think the country is getting better. Many think that things are getting worse.
So what do folks want the president to be focusing on right now?
Trump's biggest approval rating, his best approval rating came on how he's been handling the border. About half of voters think that he's doing a good job there. So I think that's something where voters, and particularly his base, want him to be spending his time. His lower approval ratings within his own party came for things like his proposal to run Venezuela, focusing on the Russia-Ukraine conflict. So I think there's a little bit of a tension there.
Okay, so this study was conducted when, Ruth?
It was conducted early January.
Okay.
It was conducted right around 1 year mark of Trump being in office.
So a little bit before we started seeing some of the unrest in Minneapolis, which obviously has everything to do with border issues and legal/illegal immigration. If you guys ask people the same questions, is there any way to gauge how they would answer?
There's no way to gauge how they would answer. We have to wait and see. That's something that we'll be getting polling on, hopefully, in the days and weeks. But I will say this poll actually was conducted after some of the unrest in Minneapolis started. So the poll was conducted after Renee Good was killed, but before this most recent shooting over the weekend. And we did see a majority of Americans saying that they felt that ICE tactics had gone too far. Even as a majority approved of Trump's deportation policies, most said that the ICE tactics themselves had gone too far.
Okay, I'm looking at some of the results that you have. You conducted New York Times poll conducted. Do you think the country is generally better off than it was a year ago? About the same or worse off? And I love that you were able to look at all of the people who responded and categorize independents, Republicans, and Democrats. Did you see a variation in how different people were responding based on their political affiliation?
Yeah, Democrats and Republicans are really entrenched in their camps. So a majority of Democrats thought that the country was worse off. A majority of Republicans thought the country was better off. But as always, we're paying a lot of attention to independents because they play such a central role in our elections. And here, a majority of independents said that the country was worse off than it was a year ago.
And what from this study was most surprising or stood out the most to you?
What a great question. I think that it was most interesting that a small share of Republicans, not large, about 20%, were sort of disapproving of Trump on some of these key issues, like the cost of living and how he's handling that. So I think it's really interesting. Trump has generally retained robust support with his base, but it was interesting to see a small share of Republicans who weren't happy with how things were going.
Okay, some of the other categories, and I know you mentioned some of them, but managing the federal government, the economy, relationships with other countries, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which we have been following very closely, cost of living, which I think affects
this is huge.
Everybody. Yeah, and then also, and this has been a big back and forth, you see Republicans and Democrats all saying, release the Epstein files. And we had quite the swing there on that one.
Yeah, it was Trump's lowest approval in the poll across any issues was on the Epstein file. And fully half of Republicans said that they didn't approve of how he was handling the Epstein files. He already has low approval among Democrats who want him to release the files. But within his own party, this has been a big split, and half disapproved of how he was handling the Epstein files. So I think that's also something that we're watching to see how that split grows or doesn't within the Republican Party.
And then can you talk about the affordability issue that folks were voicing on this poll? I mean, a lot of these numbers, it seems like folks are saying, yeah, most things are unaffordable. So walk us through some of those categories, because, I mean, the title right there, that the middle class lifestyle is drifting out of reach, and the numbers are kind of reflecting that.
Yeah. We had large shares of Americans saying that the country has become unaffordable, particularly some of those marquee things that we associate with a middle-class lifestyle: owning a home, paying for education, retiring. We had large shares of Americans saying that those had become unaffordable, not just expensive, but so high that they've become unaffordable. And this was particularly prominent among young people, who are a group that we're also paying a lot of attention to around the election. And affordability really pops with them as one of their biggest concerns when they're thinking about who to vote for. And this poll really showed that for young people in particular, the cost of housing, the cost of education, these things have become crippling in their ability to get ahead in their life.
Yeah, 58% felt that education was unaffordable, 54% for housing, and 47% for healthcare.
How about
and
gas?
Having a family was on there, groceries at 28%, food, utilities, and transportation at about 22%. I mean, we've have seen gas prices come down a little bit, so maybe folks are softening on that aspect just a little. But I mean, majority here, say it's unaffordable.
Less than 30 seconds. Tell us how people can find you, how they can find this poll, and maybe even participate the next time you do it. About 15 seconds.
Yeah. You can find me on the New York Times website. My name is Ruth Igielnik. My Twitter handle is @Ruth Igielnik. Always feel free to @ me or write me an email. I love hearing from readers. It's harder to participate in a poll. You can reach out to me anytime, but to participate in a poll, we randomly select Americans to make sure that it is truly random. So if nobody can reach out to us to participate in a poll,
awesome.
But I love reader feedback on what you want us to focus on, what you want us to ask, what you want to understand about your fellow Americans.
Thank you, Ruth. Great insight. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll be right back, folks.
Great job, Ruth. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Oh, we don't necessarily... duty down here. We're not going to talk about what happened. It wasn't me, though, really, this time.
It was my kids.
Okay. There we go. Hi, Tanner.
Hi.
Welcome on in.
It's good to be with you. Thank you so much.
Tell us, you're with A New Leaf. Tell us about A New Leaf.
I am. A New Leaf is one of the largest service providers for homelessness services and domestic violence services in the Valley.
Okay. Amazing. How long have you been with A New Leaf?
I've been with them for almost 10 years. So I've seen how our community has changed and how it's responded to homelessness, domestic violence, and all sorts of other challenges.
Okay, well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about those changes and what the past 10 years, what you've seen personally, because you are out doing outreach on the streets. You are doing outreach within the different buildings and structures. So people are coming in, you're going out to them. What are you seeing?
Yeah. I mean, it's been quite a roller coaster ride over the last 10 years, right? We saw the pandemic. We saw a huge housing affordability crisis in the Phoenix area. And as a result of that, we've seen homelessness rise pretty dramatically. Just last year, it's up over 20% of unsheltered homelessness. And that's a huge spike, something that's very concerning to see, especially for families.
Well, and can you walk us through the cases of some individuals experiencing homelessness? Because let's admit it, some folks will judge others and say, well, they've made poor choices, or this is what they chose. This is, how they have decided to live life. But that is not always the case.
It's not. I have interviewed many folks. One of them that stands out to me is Jessica and her 4 kids. She was at one of our shelters in the West Valley. We operate the only family homeless shelter in the West Valley. So that entire community, only one shelter, right, for families. And when you think about homelessness in shelters too, right, a lot of people think open beds, big giant space, right? A New Leaf tries to operate family style shelters where you can lock a door, you can feel safe with your kids, right? And that's again a part of the community that we're really focused on serving. But they had jobs, they were working full time. One of them got laid off, one of them still working. They can't keep up with the bills. They stayed in their apartment for like 6 months because they fell behind on rent. But that problem catches up with you, right? You fall behind just for a little bit, that can affect you for years to come.
Can you, maybe a silly question, but I think, can you define homelessness? Because some people are living in their car. Some people don't have an address and they're couch surfing with family or friends. What would define homelessness?
Anyone who doesn't have their own space to call home is what I would say. We do see a lot of folks who are transient, living in their car, living in friends' homes. And I think it's important to think too. So the point in time count, which is when we count all of the folks that we know are experiencing homelessness, and it's hard. We go out, hundreds of volunteers. It's a nationwide effort here in Maricopa County. I participate in the Mesa count, and we just have to go and find people. We just have to go and find them and ask them, are you experiencing homelessness? And that's the best data we have to work with. That's hard to get accurate data.
I was going to say, how accurate is that? What is the biggest struggle in counting in this way?
Finding them, because they are living in cars with friends, with family. And if you have kids, if you have a job, you're embarrassed. You don't want to tell anybody.
You read my mind, and then that's exactly what I was going to ask you. Maybe a silly question, but on your end and the volunteers' end, how difficult is it to approach someone and say, hi, I'm Tanner with A New Leaf. Are you homeless? I mean, people can take that in so many different ways. That's a tough. They're embarrassed. They don't want to admit it. They might not tell the truth. They might be insulted. Perhaps you get it wrong. How do you train your volunteers? How do you approach people?
Yeah, so we work with the City of Mesa, and they provide really excellent training. And really, it's just about letting people know we're just here to collect data. We need to know, because this is the information that helps us decide where are we going to spend our dollars? How are we going to solve the issue of homelessness? Is it an issue in our community? And we're finding it is, but we really just focus on, talking to that person, letting them know that they matter, and just trying to get some honesty out of them. But yes, they are afraid. You know, they don't want to lose their kids. They don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to share that information with people. But it's about building trust.
And I'm sure that opens the door for other conversations to be had, right? And maybe a conversation about the services that you offer. So if you do come across somebody, obviously when you do the count and maybe they have children with them, are there services that you can provide them right away to give them immediate help?
Yes. So A New Leaf, we connect them to all the community resources that we can, which includes shelter resources, affordable housing, employment opportunities, all sorts of resources to help them get back on their feet. You know, and I focused on families too, but some people do make some mistakes and they struggle with substance abuse or any number of challenges. And we're also here for them too, because those people need help just as much as anybody else. Yeah.
The count is tomorrow morning. You'll be getting bright and early at 6 a.m.
6 a.m.
Do you need volunteers? Or are you pretty much set because you have to train people?
Yeah, we're set for the current year because we have to train people. But I encourage everybody, you know, if homelessness is an issue in your neighborhood, if you're driving down that street and you see someone on the side of the road and you're like, I wish I could do something, volunteering for this count is a great way to do that because it tells the government, your leaders, your community, where resources are actually needed, and they listen to that. They take a look at that data and they say, that's where we need to put our dollars.
Can you give us an example from maybe a point in time count to where you guys maybe had to look back and say, okay, we need more dollars funneled this way or funneled this way? Is there something that comes to mind when you think about the changes that this was able to create?
Yeah, just this last year, you know, we saw over a 20% increase in unsheltered homelessness. That rings alarm bells, right? That tells us that we're not providing enough space and we need to do more. And so A New Leaf and several other shelter providers are working together to try to work with members of Congress, with the legislature, with municipalities all across the state to try to make this a priority.
Let's talk about tomorrow, break down how it works then, how many people are volunteering, how many people are literally going to hit the street where you're going. I know we're going to have a crew with you tomorrow morning. So that we can show it, but give us an idea of how it all unfolds because this is a very daunting, difficult task.
It is. We have to, you know, canvass the entire valley essentially. But we show up at 6 a.m. We get our marching orders. All the municipalities work with us to make sure that all the space is covered. And then we drive out there in our own vehicles and we look for folks experiencing homelessness.
And how do you handle, because maybe if you're all out there, you're not sure that maybe Sally spoke to Joe already. So how do you make sure that maybe someone isn't counted twice? Or
Yeah, so we're assigned to specific areas, so nobody is really mixing in those areas.
Okay.
And on top of that, we have a tracking system for it. They have a really sophisticated app that you add to your phone, and then you go out and you interview people, and it's a detailed live tool, so you can see that data in real time. And they're always very careful about making sure that data is 100%.
When do you get the results of the count? At what point and how are you compiling them? I know you said you're going to hopefully go to lawmakers, try to get more funding, but how long does all of that take?
Yeah, so we participate in the count, and then the Maricopa Association of Governments, MAG, they take all of the data from all of the municipalities, aggregate it, and it usually comes out in March or April with formal data. And that's, again, to make sure that that data is 100%. We know exactly what's happening in our community.
A couple of questions, comments coming in the chat. What if there are people who won't let you help them, which is very interesting. And then someone is saying, sometimes I see people holding a sign asking for help. They have better... Well, these are comments about, you know, what they're seeing out there. But what if you do come across someone who doesn't want help?
If they don't want help, there's not a whole lot we can do, but we do count them still. And even if they don't want to talk to us, if they are clearly experiencing homelessness, we're able to count them just through observation. They're very, again, careful and detailed in their training on how to do that. But some people, you know, they don't want help. And that's, you know, a part of the population, and that happens. But I will say, most people, they want to figure out how to get out of homelessness.
And I have a question too. If you do, just because you made me, when you were telling her story earlier of that mother, if you do encounter maybe a family or someone with children, what is that like? Because I would imagine that they're probably scared to tell you they would be experiencing homelessness and fear their child gets taken away. So what's the legal obligation there for a New Leaf?
Yeah, so for us, we put the client front and center. So we make sure that their safety and privacy is protected. So we work with them as best as we can to get them into shelter.
Okay.
There are wait times. It's tough out there, especially right now. It can take weeks to months, depending on kind of where you sit on the continuum, because we prioritize people based off, do you have kids, kind of where are you at on your journey, any other specific needs, but it can take a long time.
So it sounds like you need more space, more shelter space.
How many people are you able to help accommodate, like in one evening, for example?
Yeah, so we have shelters all across the valley. We have upwards of probably close to 200 beds or so, and then we're part of the Arizona Shelter Network, which is all of the service providers here, which have thousands of beds all across the valley.
I was going to say, but you think about it, 200 beds, that's
not
really
enough.
not a lot.
Yeah.
It's definitely not enough, and it's really not a lot. Even 1,000 beds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what we want to bring attention to.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if people would like to donate, if they would like to volunteer with you guys, if there's anything that they can do, obviously tomorrow you're set for the count, but maybe looking ahead at the next count, maybe coming in and helping reorganize, clean,
serve meals.
Yeah. Water bottle donations, whatever.
Like, what can people do? How can they do it?
Of course, if anyone wants to get involved in helping their neighbors, they can go to turnanewleaf.org or look us up, A New Leaf, and we provide so many ways to get involved in your community. And we're not just based in Phoenix. A lot of people think homelessness is just in Phoenix. We're working in Mesa. We're working in Glendale, working out in Surprise. We're all across the valley. And again, we're really focused on that population that tends to get forgotten, which is families and individuals who just fall on hard times.
Yeah. We have about a minute left. How and why did you decide to do this?
Personally?
Yeah.
I have lived with populations that get overlooked for most of my life. I've known what it's been like. And
have you experienced homelessness?
I have not.
Okay.
But I know how hard it is for families. And we live in a society, I heard you guys talking about the cost of living challenges, all sorts of political crises that are going on in people's lives. Families are the bedrock of our communities, and they deserve to be able to live in a society that cares for them and takes care of them. And that's why I'm dedicated to this work. A New Leaf is really focused on families and helping make sure that they have everything they need to thrive. And that's what makes Phoenix worth living in. That's why I've stayed here my entire life.
How do people find you guys?
Go to turnanewleaf.org. Check it out. You can donate, get involved. We welcome anybody.
And get more information as well. So if anyone's questions weren't answered, Tanner will do so on the website.
Tanner, thank you.
Yeah.
What a
Thank
pleasure.
you so much.
Okay, good luck tomorrow. Thank you. We'll have you back when you guys get those numbers.
You betcha.
Okay, Des is sticking around, and Ron's going to join
waiting for
her.
Ron.
Every time I hit a button, it
Well, there we are with yet another view across the USA. And Des, I'm happy to announce this is what it looks like right now in Somerset, Pennsylvania. And so many parts of the U.S. This is what is so crazy about this storm system is, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're in Arkansas or Maine or Pennsylvania, or all the way back to Colorado. I mean, this is basically what it looks like across about, I'd say, about 70% of the USA. Crazy, huh?
11 degrees there. That is chilly.
Wow. I went to go look it up on the map, and then I realized, oh, yeah, I drove through there.
Of course you did.
Like 2 months ago when I was on Renee and I, we took a quick little trip out to Michigan.
Okay,
for the
what was in Michigan?
For the Washington-Michigan football game. And I'm like, let's go on a road trip. Renee's like, okay, I'm up for it. I said, well, let's go to Pennsylvania.
And she said, I'm down?
She said, I'm down.
Look at that.
So this is a really kind of a pretty little town right there. You see the courthouse and I mean, the winds are still howling.
Yeah, wow. Whip in.
Des, when Krystal and I were talking about the show today, at about 9 in the morning, I said, look at some of these wind chills in the midsection, like Indianapolis. At 9 this morning, meaning 10 o'clock their time, approaching, like end of breakfast toward lunch.
Yeah.
It was still 16 below zero on the wind chill.
Wow. I definitely can't remember Buffalo ever being below zero.
Right?
Well, I mean, the wind chill, I'm sure, but gosh. Do you think you could even handle that?
Yes.
Yes.
Because I lived through it in Montana. One Christmas when my sister lived in Missoula, they had temps that were like 30 below of actual air temp.
Of actual air temp.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because wind chill is different. Wow.
Correct.
Yeah. Air temp, that's a whole other ballpark.
Yeah. Then the pipes froze underneath the house. And her husband...
you got to leave the water on the drip.
Yeah.
But negative 30.
I know.
You're probably
He was down there with the blowtorch crawling around under the house. Anybody who's ever lived in the cold, you probably know what we're talking about here. All right, let's just show you some of the video that's been coming in. This is one of the things the airports have been struggling. Yesterday was the worst day for cancellations in America since the pandemic.
Wow. Bad.
So that's bad for sure. And I read something, Des, there was an NBA team that was stuck on the tarmac for hours. They had wrapped up wherever they were, and I think they were trying to fly into Memphis to play the Grizzlies. And they were like, we don't even know if the game's going to be on or not on because we've been sitting on the plane for hours. It's a rough deal. Yeah, that's for sure. Well, anyway, we hope the situation gets better. Krystal was on earlier, and she said it looks like it will be getting better over the next few days, but it's still going to be pretty tough. And then there's going to be another big system that's going to be coming in after that. Let's go to Pine Top, because there are some new developments in this Abadi murder case, the Abadi Pine Top murder case. Michael Abadi is going to get a day in court today. So you know the story by now. He's a very prominent farmer in the El Centro, California area. He's been charged with getting in his car and driving from El Centro all the way up to Pine Top to kill his estranged wife, Carrie Ann Abadi. He's 63. She was 59. A judge actually raised his bond to $5.5 million with a bunch of strict release conditions. His legal team says because Judge no prior criminal history and he's having some health issues, I think that's the main purpose for today's hearing is to see if they can get that bond lowered from $5.5 million.
$5.5 million. Yeah, I mean that's a pretty tough bond there. So we'll have to see what comes out of that today.
Yeah, boy. Okay, so that's one story we're following. Several others that we're going to get to this morning, but our buddy Eric Wilson, I see he is all set and ready to go. So let's chat with Eric from TMZ. Good morning, friend.
You guys caught me off guard there. I wasn't ready. How's it going?
Okay. He's like, wait a minute, I'm still getting dressed.
Okay.
Wait, what kind of t-shirt you got on? You got NWO?
Yeah. You know, repping some old school wrestling today. We're gonna go with the black and white all around.
I like how you did one last touch up of the hair, and now you're sitting ready.
What's left of it? Sorry, I didn't do gel today. It's been a rough Monday.
I can send you some. I got a lot to spare.
Oh, okay, that works. Yeah. Please do. I don't know if I can. Yeah.
Happy Monday.
But happy Monday, guys.
Yeah.
So Sydney Sweeney is all over TMZ every day. What'd she do?
So this is an interesting one. It's kind of a layered situation here, but in an attempt to promote her new lingerie brand, she climbed the Hollywood sign and strung bras across the sign. Now, the interesting thing here is this is the video footage of her actually doing it. The interesting thing here is that she had a permit to film through the LA Film Permit Office. However, the Hollywood sign is a registered trademark owned by the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce. So while she has permission to film there, she can't actually use the logo or the marks that are the Hollywood sign unless she gets permission from the Chamber of Commerce, which she did not get. So she went up there, she filmed this whole stunt to promote her brand. She hung bras she strung them all the way across the Hollywood sign, and she climbed on top of it, which they told her she was not allowed to do. She was allowed to film there, but she could not touch it. And yeah, she went above and beyond in touching it and hung some bras and some lingerie across it.
But what's the point of that? Like, would anyone actually even be able to see the bras?
Well, I think the point of it is this now.
Is it for the video?
Where we're showing you this video that she obtained. I don't know if this was the point. Maybe the point was to actually air this as a commercial or something like that. And, and then, the rights obviously fell through. And so she went another route. And somehow this footage got out. And now we're looking at it. So I feel like this is maybe what she was able to do with it without getting the permission.
Are we thinking she actually gets in trouble for this?
Well, I don't know. Technically, she is trespassing, and I think it's more so using the marks in a commercial use, which this is not. Now it's editorial. Now it's news.
Yeah.
Us obtaining this footage and showing it this way. Well, so time will tell as far as what she does with it after that.
Yeah, we shall see. And Jeff Bezos backing her lingerie line there, so she's well funded. Let's talk Kanye.
Made an investment of $1 billion.
$1 billion.
In her lingerie line. And
wow.
They say that's kind of what secured her invite to the wedding. We saw her out and about, obviously, in Venice. So yeah, that's where that relationship kind of started.
Yeah, I bet. Maybe she supplied the lingerie for the honeymoon.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, it's true.
I mean,
okay.
All right.
So you're saying that Bezos gave her $1 billion, and that was what secured her invite. So she gets $1 billion. And she gets the invite to the wedding. It's a pretty sweet deal.
Yeah, it's a great deal. She's a shrewd negotiator, huh?
Yeah, guess so.
For sure.
All right, Kanye, what's he up to?
Oh, Kanye, he's apologizing for all his anti-Semitism. This obviously isn't the first time he's done it. We've seen him speak with rabbis. We've seen him go to synagogues and apologize there as well. But now he wrote a letter. He actually took out a full-page ad and just penned this letter apologizing and blaming it on some events in the early 2000s and that he's, back on track and he's ready to make amends.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's boy who cried wolf. We'll see how long it lasts. Obviously, he has been, to his credit, pretty quiet over the last few months.
He has been quiet lately, huh?
He hasn't made any outbursts, and we've seen him out with Bianca, and they look happy together. As happy as they usually do. Both of them aren't very big smilers, but So it seems that whatever he's been going through, obviously he was diagnosed bipolar. Perhaps that medicine is finally working for him.
And I think by now too,
turning over a new leaf. It's great.
And I think by now too, Eric, we all kind of understand. Like, he is a very abstract thinker, individual, creative, right? So I think of a lot of what he says, as horrible as it comes off, is maybe in his head he doesn't interpret it that way. But maybe he's realizing, things I'm saying is not
for that.
Yeah.
But he definitely, I think, him apologizing constantly over and over again, it's not the best look, but we'll see if it sticks this time.
All right, we have a question in the chat for you, Eric.
Oh, okay.
From Brandy the Bookworm. She wants to know, what is your favorite NWO match and current WWE wrestler?
Okay, current WWE wrestler, It's a tough one. I got to go Seth Rollins. I'm a big Seth guy. Braun Breaker, he's the future. My favorite WCW match, or NWO match, if you want to count it that, it's Goldberg winning the title in Atlanta, beating Hogan in the ring.
All right.
So there you go.
And I got a question for you too, Eric. Who's going to win the Super Bowl?
Who's going to win the Super Bowl? I mean,
do you have an opinion?
The Seahawks, right? It seems like everyone's. I mean, I'm not big on either team. I don't follow it too closely.
Who
but
did you want to see in?
I mean, the Eagles. I'm from Philly.
Oh, that's right.
Birds.
Right.
It's a disappointing season for us, and a lot of teams are disappointed. It's an interesting Super Bowl matchup.
Yeah, for sure.
Is anyone excited for it?
I don't know.
Exactly.
I mean, as soon as the Bills were out, I kind of could care less.
People were like, "Oh, that'd be a fun year to watch the Bills finally do it." But
yeah, for sure. And now, what's going on in Buffalo is just a hot mess. Good luck trying to find a head coach for that team. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I got my money on the Patriots, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
are they the long shot?
Only because my husband played for Coach Vrabel, and I'm a Vrabel fan through and through. Amazing guy. Yeah, and just a man of his word. He's a coach's players coach. And was always very honest, and I just respect that. So I'm going Buffalo's arch rival.
Wow.
Yeah.
First kind words you've said about the Patriots possibly in your entire life. Eric, thank you, buddy. We'll talk to you next Monday.
See you guys. Happy Monday.
Yeah, for sure. These games, though, it's an interesting thing. I sat down to watch on recording the second game, right? The Seahawks-Rams game.
Yeah.
And then it was getting a little bit late, and Renee's really good about telling me, hey,
it's time for bed, honey.
To get going. And she's like, why don't you zap forward? Because I like to go back and forth and watch the plays like 2 or 3 times. So we went to the fourth quarter, and I really thought Seattle was going to blow them out. The fact that it came down to the last 2 minutes of the game, it actually was pretty exciting.
Was it? I watched in the beginning and I felt like it was boring.
Yeah.
So I was like,
yeah, finally.
I got laundry to do.
Yeah, I know. The last 10 minutes were actually really
That's
good.
That's where it was at.
And then same for the Broncos
Dang.
and Patriots. They were both really good games. But if you missed the news, the Seahawks are favored by Vegas. At least the line opened at 3.5. We'll see how it moves as the week goes on.
Yeah.
Okay, so, they have these resort cams. But most resorts that we're checking out are snowy. And that ain't a ski hill right there. Right? Okay, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with more on FTT. Fox 10 Talks. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Mystery Cam, and we're just starting to see some of your guesses here. I like Darla. She's like, it's possible it's Flagstaff, because, of course, it's snowy, but it's also possible it's Tennessee. That's what I call. By the way, Bella gets to join today. Bella, we have had so many guests on the 3-shot.
So many.
That we haven't been able to just slot you in. So I feel like I'm just kind of on the edge with the Isabella fan club.
I'm happy to be here.
Here she is today, and we love it.
Thanks.
Do you have a guess? Do you want to take one more look at it here? It's hard because it's so fuzzy looking.
I mean, you can see a lot of condensation just on that camera. Kind of blocking my view to tell what the mountains look like.
Yeah.
I will say it's not Tucson. Sorry, Darren Lloyd. I saw that. You commented that.
Coming from somebody who just worked in Tucson up until... When did you start here now?
I started in May.
It hasn't even been a year?
Mm-mm.
Oh, my gosh.
I think I'm on 8 months right now.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, well...
Maybe Texas. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's a light amount of snow. It's not super heavy, so I think you're right on target with a guess like that. I think you're going to go Texas. That's a really good guess.
Pretty broad.
Let's see. I think I'll go... I'm still looking around. We got an Oklahoma from Lisa. Brandy is saying Colorado. I guess maybe I could go with our Tennessee guest from Linda, so I'll do that.
Good guess.
All right, ready? Here we go.
Okay, I have the mystery cam.
Yes.
Ready?
Right.
Johnson City, Tennessee.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Okay, the Tennessee guesses were correct.
Yes, nice.
Very
Okay.
nice.
Well, I've heard that Johnson City is really pretty because it's up in the mountains, but you wouldn't know it today.
You wouldn't be
Right.
able to tell. I mean, that whole upper part of the camera is kind of glassed over.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Have you been to Tennessee?
Yes. Actually, I drove. My daughter was moving after college. She was moving back to Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And so I said, because she needed a car, I said, I'll drive you or we can drive together or whatever. And we had the coolest week.
Oh.
We went through Oklahoma City, which is actually really a cool city to explore. They have a great state museum there with the whole history and the space program. They're very connected to the space program. And then we went through Arkansas, and I loved Memphis. We didn't make it to Graceland, but we walked up and down Beale Street, famous home of the blues, and then Nashville, and we went to the Grand Ole Opry, the original one, the one that's downtown, the old one. You know, it was really great. I loved Tennessee. It's so beautiful. Yeah, put it on your bucket list.
I will.
Okay.
I will.
Now, when it comes to all these snowy pictures, let me just ask you about this, because, all right, we've been looking at the pictures of all the snow.
Oh, geez.
And you grew up in Seattle, which everybody knows it can be rainy there, but did you guys ever have any, like, epic snows that you remember where you couldn't go to school or you barely could move around?
No. I remember there was a couple of winters where it would maybe snow overnight or in the early morning, and we would have maybe a late start or delay of school. But I think it was either my junior year or senior year, so 2018, 2017. There was a fairly good snowstorm, and I think we were out of school for 2 days.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But besides that, no.
Yeah.
When they had that big Seattle freeze, I was already in Arizona.
Yeah.
When you saw the videos of people slipping down the hills and the cars sliding down, yeah.
Yeah. So the year that the movie Titanic came out, which I want to say was maybe 97. You can look it up. We happen to be up for Christmas in my hometown of Wenatchee up in Washington.
And that side of the state gets a lot of snow.
I mean, there's a street, let's see. Oh,
You
it
were
was
right,
1997. Okay, so it's Christmas of 97. And I mean, you know, you can actually, in some of this video that we cut for you, you can see, I mean, it's not piled up super high. We had one-way streets that were normally 3 lanes. Instead, they went 2 lanes, and the middle lane was a wall of snow that was probably 8 feet tall.
Whoa.
Because they had to plow the roads, and they had nowhere to put it, so they put it in the middle.
Oh, my gosh.
And so we were stranded in the snow in Wenatchee. Both mountain passes to get over to Seattle were closed. Stevens and Snoqualmie. There was really
no way to get over.
And the North Cascades Highway always shuts down in the wintertime. There really was no way.
Wow.
So
you were trapped.
I was working at a different TV station. I called the boss. I said, so here's the situation. And she says to me, well, if you're willing to do a report every day from where you're stuck in the snow, we won't count it against you.
That is a great thing to work out.
I thought it was great.
Great.
So I was the snow reporter for like 3 days. Finally, they opened up one of the roads and we could get out of there.
Did you wear a little hat or earmuffs, some gloves?
No, back in those days, there was like no Zoom or anything like that.
Oh, that's right.
It was all phone reports from my mom and dad's house.
There you go.
From the kitchen phone that hung on the wall.
I love that. That's amazing. What a nice story, Ron.
Oh, gosh. All right. So, hey, there's a story that is sure getting a lot of attention, and we wanted to kind of highlight it as well, because there was a fire the other day that impacted really an entire family. It is pretty remarkable to think that they all survived, and you're going to hear some of, afterwards from the hospital. This is a little bit about what we were hearing after 6 members of one family in Mesa managed to escape the fire.
The little girl that's here right now, she's in stable condition, but she was able to get up and go through and in the room and wake the parents up, even though that room was on fire, and help them get out of bed. And in doing this, it gave them the very few minutes that they needed to get everybody pretty much towards a window. They broke the window trying to get out.
By the way, here's the...
Unfortunately, they couldn't get out the window. The kids were too scared to come out. So my brother pretty much grabbed his kids, wrapped them in a blanket. They went down the stairs. The stairs was engulfed by fire. The whole downstairs was burnt, and he got them out the door in literally the exact time, right before everything just went up. I honestly think that was nothing short of a miracle that she was woken up. The whole family was saved.
So I believe 8 units were affected. The building almost came all the way down. So it's not just our family that needs help or assistance.
And so what we have done, look at the fire. That's from the Mesa Fire Department. You can see it just kind of raging away in that video. And from what we understand, the family did set up a GoFundMe. I mean, every single one of them is, was affected by this fire. And at last check, as of early this morning, all were still hospitalized. And if it wasn't for the one little girl, so you had the 2 adults, the mom and dad, and 4 kids from 6 months old to 13 years old, and they got out because the one little girl woke up and alerted everybody else. So we have set up a link at fox10phoenix.com to the GoFundMe, because you have all 6 that are in recovery.
So
Look at some of these pictures here. And so, we just wish them the very best, and hope that soon they're able to kind of get back on their feet.
Definitely.
And so let's talk just a little bit more about a couple of other stories this morning, Bella. Our poll question, I think, is getting quite a bit of online chatter. So the Attorney General, Chris Mays, made some remarks. Now, I believe she did make these remarks before what happened this weekend in Minnesota, where there was a guy who was a legal gun owner and had a permit to carry. And as you know, ultimately he was shot and killed as officers kind of closed in on him. But last week, Chris Mays gave interview to KTAR where she said, quote, if you're really sure that they are ICE, she's talking about how so many people are armed here in Arizona. She said, if you're sure they're ICE and they present a badge or they present identification, then I would not recommend using lethal force against them.
Yeah.
But then she went on to say that we do have the stand your ground law in Arizona. But, later on, then they also interviewed the executive director of the Police Association. And he said, the stand your ground law doesn't allow for the use of lethal force against any law enforcement officer who is performing any kind of official duties. And so the whole thing, I think, has now prompted a lot of discussion. And so here's what it looks like on the QR code. 72% saying they were out of line, those remarks. 28% said they were fine. What are you seeing on YouTube? Oh, hold on. I don't have 22. I got to jump to another
There's
page. But
almost 100 comments on YouTube right now. 92 comments as of right now.
Okay.
Yeah, and those comments are all across the board. I know that since Mays has made the statement, there's been a lot of backlash, but Mays has doubled down and stands by what she said.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's a chance for you to kind of stand or to sound off on it as well. And yeah, I mean, we do these poll questions to give you guys a chance to kind of sound off about it. Mm-hmm. Dave, I don't know. Did you look up any more comments or? Yeah. All right. So the other story we were going to talk about that kind of is mind-boggling to me is that Amazon is now starting to launch another round of layoffs.
Oh, no.
And they already, I think, have laid off 14,000 people.
Oh,
These are
boy.
14,000 people, everything from their Amazon Web Service to people working in Prime Video to HR. A lot of corporate jobs based mostly in Seattle, but they have other offices.
Is this an AI thing?
Yes, they're actually saying it's an AI thing. And that is, I guess, kind of part of the story where, I mean, these companies are now admitting that, and this was kind of a worst case scenario when artificial intelligence first came around. That's a lot of jobs. 14,000 last year, up to 30,000 this year. That would be an additional 16,000. That's really going to hurt.
Oh, that is going to hurt.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully AI doesn't come our way yet. We're here. We're here to stay.
Yeah, no kidding. Now, I did think since we were talking a little bit about Amazon, they're still kind of experimenting with drone delivery. I don't know why they haven't moved forward with it. But check this out. There's a new company that says, look, if they're going to drag their feet, we are set to go. It's called Zipline, and they say they are ready to expand to the Valley this year. They already do deliveries in markets in Texas and Arkansas. And actually, they have several markets they're in overseas in Africa.
Wow.
Company says customers will be able to order tens of thousands from their app, everything from food to medical supplies. And it can get to your house in as little as 10 minutes. Bella, how about that?
I like when my stuff gets here fast.
Yes,
so
right.
I see a positive, but also